back here. All right. Here we go again. Okay, what we're doing now is we are working with forearm stand. What I'm going to have them do, so when we go into forearm stand, there's this thing where I call it the Indian rope burn, because you have to spiral out in your upper arm, but you have to spiral in with your forearm, which creates a lot of tension as you come around to this anterior serratus in your lats. So what I can do for some newbies is you turn your palms up. I've actually nailed this in my forearm stand pretty nicely before. For us that are experienced with palms down, it feels really wonky. But if you can learn to press through the forearms, then you'll feel really stable. So what I teach is I'll have you come over, get Fonzie thumbs, which is a dated cue. I'm gonna have to come up with a new one. But stick your hitchhiker thumbs, right? Everybody still kind of knows that, right? No, probably Uber. In fact, it's illegal. All right, so thumbs out. You can make fist, elbows down, right? We want to take the leg up and gently lift, right? And then you'll do that on either side. What that does is that takes a lot of, for someone who, like me, who is like constant gymnastics dismount in every pose and have to really work on pulling that in, that helps me to lift up. So you guys try that a couple times, let it feel weird. The reason the block is between your hands is so that your forearms are actually open to that shoulder distance apart. And so you can rock forward, but you're not jumping. You can do a gentle kick, but not jump. Yeah, there you go. It feels funky, right? You can look at the floor. Forearm stand, you're more than welcome to look at the floor. All right, rest. Neck and shoulders, right? The next would be taking your hands around the block where the thumb is on the underside and the index finger runs around the side. Elbows are shoulder distance apart. Actually, let me show you something. All right, this is for 35 and above. So when we go into forearm stand, our skin slides, right? So if you will, when you are putting your hands on that block, set your elbows down with your hands palm up, then rotate the palms down, and that'll, it stretches the skins. Yeah. It locks the skin in. It locks the skin in so your elbows aren't rolling out because of the skin. However, what are we supposed to be doing in this posture? We're supposed to be doing, just like in our down dog, we're supposed to, in our planks and all of this, we're supposed to integrate those elbows in. So once again, we're focusing on that space in the core, upper abs, pushing the forearms down, drawing the low belly in, right? Breathing is a good thing. Very good. Spread your toes. There you go. Awesome. Wonderful. So the common thing with inversions like this for most students is that they start to lift their feet before their hips get over their shoulders, which if the feet try to come up before the hips are over the shoulders, it's just pulling the hips back because that's a counterweight to the back of your mat. So when you teach, and that's one of the reasons why I like to go right at the end of the exhale, because when you're right at the end of the exhale, what is that doing? That's cinching this space between pubic bone and navel without collapsing you. All right, so the next thing with forearm stand is doing it without the block itself. What I tell people is that what happens is that you will come in and you'll have this angle to your elbows. Is this bad? No, long as the elbows aren't at wider than shoulders. This just means that you have to continue to work that outer rotation of that shoulder head. What I don't like is fingers turning out. This has no strength. This is great for like jazz dance, jazz hands, but it has no strength. So wherever your wrists are, the fingers are coming straight out of it, right? I don't want, because you're trying to line wrists up with elbows, that you're just lining fingertips up with elbows. Line fingertips up with wrists, wrists up with elbows to the best of your ability. Now, there's not a lot of other things that I like to practice as far as entries into forearm stand like this, because there's no jump, right? You can do, when you do the kick up, the switch out. That's another one to try to play with. You can do the kick up and the jackknife and bring your knee in. But like donkey kicks or any of that, we don't do that here. And then if you can like pike up into it, that's great too. I'm still working on that one too. It's honestly the gymnastics dismount and the Jessica Rabbit that makes it hard for us to lift with that short of a distance. What happens is when we jump into our handstands, I can get a hold of that. Yeah, I can get a hold of that better and then pike it up. Yeah, there's that connection there. All right. So then next we've got handstands. I'm gonna give it just a little break, so if I want to cut, yeah, let me grab a drink, because I'm gonna cut this up into chapters so that you can just go to this chapter, forearm stand, things like that. I also need to remember to put some precaution. I'll put that at the end of the group. So. All right, next is headstand. So, as I discussed earlier, doing headstand, for most Americans, we have this cell phone neck stuff going on, poor posture, poor core integration. Typically, I will not teach headstand until you can show me you can get into forearm stand without jumping at all. A mild rock back and forth, yeah, I can do that. But it's because of who we're teaching, right? Most people are suffering from whiplash anyway. I don't want to make it worse. All right, so there is a setup with blocks. I prefer shorter blocks myself for the bottom block, but I'll demonstrate it with 2 tall blocks. So think shorter blocks, but this is great for someone with a really long neck and head. Mine typically is just a little shorter. So depending on the length of the neck, tall block or 3-inch block. These blocks are set up so that they end up being Princess Leia muffins, right, on the side of their head. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to have them put their shoulders on, their head would be on the floor, and then they can lift up. Do you want to go get 2 short blocks so this looks proper? Now for guys and people taller than me, because I'm 5'2", that works, but 5'2", it needs to be a little shorter. What this does is it just gives a sense of security, and it's a way of making your own headstand chair without. So that bringing me to the headstand chair. If you do want to lift up there and have your head hang, then yeah, have the blocks so that your head doesn't go on the floor. But if I'm teaching headstand, what I'm doing is I want them to feel some weight in their head, but not have all their body weight in their head so they don't freak out and fall out of the pose. This one, if you fall out of handstand, there's some risk. I mean, dinging your toe or kind of twisting on your shoulder or something, or face planting. But the headstands and forearm stands, there's a lot of shoulder wrenching going on and ability to kind of wrench their back and stuff. So another reason for leaving it at the sidelines. All right, there we go. Here's our tripod. I'm still floating because I'm a shorty, right? But at this point, you can start to lift up into it. Right. So, I must have shrunk. My head used to touch with 2 blocks. Wow. Okay. I'm getting shorter. I'm shrinking. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, my head definitely touches now. All right. And so there's ways to lift. We always lift into headstand. Never, never jump into headstand. You can do the tripod headstand, so I'm going to have you guys try that too. Just try it, see how you feel. You guys aren't that much taller than me, but you might be both. 5'3". Yeah, you're not that much taller than me. You should be fine just doing that one. Okay. So you want your head on the mat. Yeah, you need more. So, and that just gives them the ability. Yeah, and you can also, one of the great things to this is you can do the thing on the shoulder. Can I demonstrate that with you? Go ahead and put your head down, and I'm going to let you lift into this with your foot on my shoulder. So she's going to put her foot on my shoulder once again, and then she presses down into my shoulder, and then she can control her lift up into the headstand. I don't have to do anything except hold on to her leg and secure her up and down. Awesome, guys. Go ahead and come back down. Wonderful. All right, so that is headstand, tripod headstand. Another aspect is doing the most secure headstand is where you take your hands, you braid your fingers and put it around the back of your head. Take the bottom pinky of whatever hand you're braiding and tuck it under. Why? Because if you're braiding your fingers, you're going to smash. It really is not comfortable. You smash your fingers, especially that little pinky finger. So if you can take that pinky finger and put it inside the palm. When you come down, yet again, elbows are shoulder distance apart. We don't jump. The reason that this is really difficult for people to lift into is because the back line of the body has to be really stretchy right here. I mean, this is a pretty deep down dog, right? And then we could start to float up. This is not the one I usually practice. Right? There you go. So if you can't float up, then what do? Is you practice lifting that inner heel, right? And rocking forward and back. So let's just try that. And so we're rooting through your forearms, our foundation. In most inversions, you want to have Muha Bandha, which is pelvic floor, all 3 bandhas put together. Yeah, nice little ball there. The ball is actually hard for some people to hold because there's so much opening in the back line. Oh, nice. All right.
PTSD from falling out of this.
All right, so she just said she had PTSD from falling out of this. Guess what? That's the reason that you as teachers need to be really aware of your ability to handle that, because you have to be able to make sure that they're okay, but then also handle it like the toddler that just fell and whacked their head on the table. All of us fall. As a matter of fact, that's one of the first things that I say in any arm balance or handstand. I turn to the whole class and tell them, get over it. You are going to fall. If you practice inversions, you do not get out of it without face planting a whole bunch. What you find out is that there's no permanent damage. Yeah. There's more fear. And if you can fall like a drunk, I mean, really, don't fight the fall. And that's what...
get hurt. So.
You won't get hurt. So, and that's the thing, is that experienced yogis realize that at some point you're going and you just try to fall with a puddle of grace, right? Tuck it home. All right, so there are several levels of headstand. I can do 5 of the 7 levels of headstand. I imagine if I put it as a goal or a focus, I could do the rest, but there's so many other fun postures to do. So, so the levels of headstand, we've got the super secure one, we've got the tripod one, we've got grabbing our Vulcan death grip muscles, our shoulder muscles. We have the braid here. We have the arms forward, and then we have the free hand out to the side, and then nothing but the head. I'm going to demonstrate the ones that I can do real quick. See how that goes. All right. So we've done the braid, the tripod. Let's see which one I want to do next. It's been a minute since I've done these headstands. And so this is a nice, there in a headstand, there's typically 3 points of contact, which are your elbows and the part of your head just in front of that soft spot, which is one of our press points for adjustments. So like if you guys have been in plank pose, I'll press in the, or a lot of your poses, even in some of your warriors, I'll press in the top of the head and have you extend out. That's where we're pressing here so that you're extending out, right? All right, this one. Let's see how this goes. Oh, Mary's shoulders are tight. Very good. And then we have this one. And down. And then out to the side. Woohoo! And then free. Don't teach the free one in your class. You don't need, there's no need. All right. So those are our headstands. One entry and aspect that you might want to start incorporating in your headstands is going from crow to headstand and back to crow. Why? Because it's a lot of core, and it also teaches control in the headstand. Also, you can use headstand to get some places with different arm balances. What do I mean by that? So practicing crow, so teaching crow real quick while we're here. Index fingers are forward and the same setup. This is chaturanga. Nothing changes, right? As you come into crow, you're going to bring your upper knees to the outer tricep. So basically, if you were to look at this pose, my knees and my elbows are creating a small little X, right? So they're just peeking out just enough because it hurts to dig it right into your tricep, right? And you have to have a firm foundation. So one of the things that I like to teach is drawing everything in. You used to teach like Susan Summers' thigh master, right? Elbows in, right? And so when you do this, you're teaching people to draw it all to the center line, rock forward on the toes. Now, for some people, this is enough. You can teach them to point one toe, point the other toe, right? Or point both toes. But coming to headstand, you tuck your chin and slowly come down. Then you come back up. A workout that you can do here to prepare you for other arm balances is to drop one knee at a time. Slowly. So much easier when you're not talking. And then dropping back down to your crow. Coming back out of your crow, you want to stay really engaged in your feet. Find the lift, and then find the drop. Okay, so practicing those aspects of inversion. So, do you guys want to play with going to crow to headstand? Do you do crow yet? Okay. So practice crow. One of the things you can do if they're really kind of freaked out about it is you can get a blanket for their face. Ain't gonna help, they're still gonna fall. But it gives them the illusion that there's a lot of cushion there. And so it's the placebo effect. They feel safer, therefore they're willing to try more, right? So go ahead and sit up and I will grab a blanket. And honestly, if people, and if people are new to crow, period, this is a great way to teach it because, I mean, okay, yeah, maybe it'll cushion them a little bit. Cushioning you that much, you're still following. And it's not that, and that one of the things that I teach students is your forearm in general is what, like 7-8 inches long. You're falling 7 or 8 inches to the floor. You're falling 2 palms distance to the floor. It's not as though you are falling off the rafters, right? And so when you go into this, you tuck your chin, bending your elbows, drawing your belly in. And so one of the postures that I'll teach before I teach crow, I'll do core work. So if you lay down, one of the best core work before crow is to teach crow on your back. Have them come in, hold crow, have them release. Then you can tell them that same core muscle that they were working with will help them come into the posture. Yep.
Oh, all in my head.
Well, so yet again, this is why we teach these inversions, is because it's not about nailing the pose, it's about conquering the mind. My mind said the same thing when I first started doing these. I'm gonna break my face. You had it. You had it. Try one knee at a time.
I've tried doing this in these class.
And that's another thing, you know, while Brooke's going through this mental anguish over her inversion, right? You have to stay compassionate and remember, especially if you're able to do these things really easily, there's a time you were scared. And if you can just let them understand it's about the brain, it's not about the posture, it makes everything better. And play with that a little bit more and then we'll move on.
You got it.
Look where you want to put the top of your head. All right, close your eyes. Come into it and close your eyes.
Oh, I don't know if that's any better.
No, just feel it for a second. Close. It's not as though closing your eyes. You're not moving anywhere. Closing your eyes. Right? Okay. So that's all right. So this is the deal. What you're fearful of is when you take your head under, you have nowhere to look anymore in your mind. Do you see what I'm saying? So take your vision in between your hands now. And sometimes when you're looking at a student, they have all the strength, they have all the stuff. You just have to figure out how to talk to them to get them to do what you need them to do. So maybe even look back at your feet. That way you can feel nice and balanced. Yeah. Okay, so that's your practice.
Yep.
So that's her practice, right? All right. The last thing that's going to have to do with like the handstand stuff is teaching people to jump forward and back on their mat, which is essentially jumping in and out of handstand, right? A lot of what I see is people do not bend their arms when they jump back, which is really no good. And then they are jumping on their mat. They're not lifting their hips up. And so it's almost a mistake of ours to change the terminology. However, the easiest way to teach a student how to lightly jump forward and to jump back is one, tell them to squeeze their legs together. That will keep them from crushing their toes when they land, all right? And then two, teach them to jump forward and back over a blanket. Why over a blanket? The mind knows how to jump up and over something. They're not thinking that. So this blanket is actually doing the thinking for them. So what I have them do, let me start away from the wall a little bit. Oh, come back. All right. And so have them come from their forward fold, right? And then the blanket is right behind them, and you tell them to jump over the blanket as they bend their elbows. Bending your elbows. No straight arms and jump backs unless you want to blow your rotator cuffs. No, just don't, right? All right, and the same thing for jumping forward. You're going to have them jump over the blanket. Try to keep their legs together. How's your jump backs? Jump forward and backs.
Not great.
So you're gonna try this. Yay. Bethany, you're gonna try to jump over the bolster.
Yeah.
See how that works.
Okay. Where are we going first?
So start at the top of the mat and try to jump back. Now remember, bent elbows. Let's not blow our shoulders. It's just like if you were to jump and land on straight legs. Nice.
I think my back jump's better than my forward jump.
This might help though.
Okay.
She's like, wow, that's a lot more power than I'm used to. Nice. Did you feel the float of it?
Yeah.
Nice. Very good, very good. Awesome. We won't do a whole bunch of those. All right. So that is how to teach. If your students are not jumping back with their hands flat, stop them immediately. Hands have to be flat. If they are jumping back and you see that their arms are straight, stop them immediately. Even stop the class and have a little tutorial in that part of class. It's going to keep them your student. So, all right. So the next little set that we're working to is going to be things like crow, side crow. So we've done crow. We'll go into side crow next. I'd like you guys to do a little bit of twisting. Yeah, you can do some Tibetan drum, really soft Tibetan drum. Since you're already really warmed up, I just want to precurse it with a little warming up. So one of the things that we want to do when we come into our side crow is make sure that we've prepped that strong twist. So one of the ab workouts that I like to do is a really slow bicycle where you exhale, twist, inhale, hold the center of the bicycle, and then exhale, rotate the other way. Chair twist is also a good little prep for twisted crow. And it's also a way that you can get into it. I like coming from a toe balance aspect. All right. And so what we're looking for in our side crow is a strong twist, the ability to squeeze the legs together, chaturanga arms, right? All right, so when you come into crow or any of these kind of asymmetrical balances, newbies have a hard time holding standard like chaturanga arms with that lower elbow out. You can, if you like, take your hands in an L shape off the side of your body, meaning the one that comes off your hip will point straight out. The one that comes off of your knee will point straight forward. What this allows you to do is bring that outer elbow in underneath your side for extra little support. And that's just a nice, safe way. It gives your students a sense of accomplishment, and that's ultimately what we want to do, right? And so to do that setup, I bring the arm very, very close. Notice I'm in a toe balance. My elbow is just to the outer knee. I'm going to take the other hand in. Now realize that I am really close, right? Because I want to be able to lean my hip on those elbows and to lift those feet. For some students, it helps them to have a visual of something. And so I will actually have them set a block up diagonal off their hip and then tell them to peek over that block. It gives them a sense of forward extension. What we're trying to do here, ultimately, in any arm balance, we are looking for a perpendicular forearm. Why? Because bone is stronger than muscle. We are trying to stack bone so we're not holding the pose. We're holding the body together while it creates the shape. Does that make sense? It'll also take pressure off the wrist because if you're going too far to get into it, then you're putting pressure on the wrist. So when I am coming forward, I am looking for that perpendicular forearm, that straight up and down forearm. Perpendicular doesn't necessarily only mean straight up and down this way, but it also means straight up and down in every direction. Not leaning out, not leaning forward, not leaning back, not tilting in. Well, tilting in is usually not a big deal, but right? So whatever you do on one side, you'll do on the other. Now, if you are teaching this and you are teaching the hands or shoulder distance, that's what you do. You tell them to take that arm out, and then you'll come into the pose. Chaturanga arms, another good thing is to put a block in front of the face so that students are actively lifting. You notice I picked one foot up at a time, perfectly appropriate. All right, try. And so this is about squeezing inner thighs too once you get up. Yep. There you go. Yeah, left side's always fun. Okay. so what's happening for you? You're going 45 but not lined up with the pose. Does that make sense? So when you put your hands down, you put them down like this rather than like this. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? So that elbow can come over, right? All right. Try it without putting your hip down because I think you're strong enough. Try bringing this, try taking this hand this way. And then try taking this hand this way. Lean over on only that elbow itself. Yeah, you're strong enough to do it without dropping that hip on that other elbow. Yeah. All right, yeah, which is then the caveat of can you do split leg arm balances like Ekapada and stuff. So you can come into the first one from side crow. So I'll do the other side. Let's see how that works out today. All right, so when I come over into Ekapada, I'm going to come over into it from crow, and then I'm going to extend the top leg back, bottom leg forward. Right? Yep. Play with that. I was on my left side, I'm proud. Feeling good, feeling good. All right, so pick your favorite crow side, whatever that is. So that's the thing. So the elbow that's on the knee is always pointing the same direction as the knee. Okay. Then the hands come in. There you go. There you go, yes. Which also helps you push back if you go to fall. It doesn't come into your wrist so much.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, see? Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Welcome to the other side. Okay. Yeah. Roll your wrists out, guys. All right. I know. Yeah, it will do. Well, and that's where we, she's talking about IT bands. That's where we come into the aspect of flexibility is a huge aspect, especially of these. Once you get past crow, it's really predominantly about flexibility at that point. One of my major things to warm up for these postures are like lizard pose, figure four or pigeon, things like that, because those are also your entries into these poses. All right, so we've got the other Ekapada, and so which is the split one. Do it on my right leg. I'll switch it up now. All right, so and I like to come into, there's a couple ways to come into this, but the basic way to come into this is from your like lazy lizard. You're gonna get that elbow underneath the hamstring. So what you want is to find where you want to put that elbow, right? And so you've got the center meaty part of your hamstring because you've got to have something to press down on, right? You want to get chaturanga arms. You can lift with the back foot. And once you get the front foot going, then you're looking for those parallel or perpendicular forearms. So start where your elbows are just a little bit back and then you can rock forward to it, all right? So coming down, finding a lazy lizard either direction, and then getting your tricep to kiss your upper arm. Walk both hands back so that they're equal. Yeah. Now shift back a little bit. There you go. Lift that front leg. Yeah. Lift it forward. Straight forward. Lift your leg forward. There you go. Half of it is that lifting that leg forward. That is the hardest part. So even somebody that could do arm balances just because, you know, like an inner thigh tightness, right? And so, there you go. Rock back a little bit to rock back in your elbows and upper body to lift that front foot. Sit on your arm. There you go. You can also, here, let's try this. Take your back foot and put it on this block. So, yeah, get set up, and then you're going to take that back foot and put it on that block. There you go. Now bend your elbow, so straighten your leg forward. There you go. Yeah. She's like, who doesn't want to do that? Wants to draw in. There you go. Yes. So that's, if that block was a little more over to the right, it would have been way worse, or left, it would have been more successful. But so that's something that you can do to help. And you know, honestly, you can do this for crows too. When people are, I used to tell them to perch like a little bird, because that gets them already kind of balled up, so that they can then just rock forward and pointing the toes. All right, so that's fun. Ekapada Kundiasana. All right, see, where are we going next? So we have, y'all do a couple half pigeon poses for a second, just because what we're going to, the next two poses include that. That's grasshopper and flying pigeon. Flying fish. I have done flying fish. Huh?
It's hard.
Well,
It sounds like something I've never done.
Well, so it's the one pose. I can do it with my knees done, wrapped up, like in cobbler's pose, but sometimes, and that's another thing, anatomy. So we're talking about flying fish pose. I don't even know if I can do it right here. Let's see if I can do it this way. Right foot first. So flying fish pose is a version of that. All right, yeah, but with legs straight. Frankly, anatomy gets in the way. For me personally, having breasts gets in the way. Why? Because some poses, especially like those flying fish poses, you have to get the elbow up underneath the ribs, right? Anatomy creates a lot of things going on in postures. I'm very, very long in the spine and very short in the legs. So short legs with flexibility and a long, strong spine make a lot of arm balances kind of easier for me than someone who has really long legs and they have to have that whole leverage and balance that out on their core. 27 inches to balance out compared to, 30 something inches. That's a big difference. All right. 37. Your inseam is how long?
It's 34 is short on me. So.
Oh, are you kidding me? No wonder. There you go. Yeah.
They're happy too.
There we are. All right. So the postures that we're going into is flying pigeon. So my favorite entry into flying pigeon is from one-legged chair, just simply because it kind of gets you into that space, right? Hands still shoulder distance apart. None of this changes. What we're going to do is we're going to take this foot and hook it onto our upper arm. That way, when our elbows come under, they're squarely across the shin. This foot is hooked. Then I can project the other foot out, okay? And so the hook of the foot does a couple things. It protects the knee. We've got this big torque on the knee. It's turned like this, so we know that to protect the knee, we spread the toes in any of these weird twisty positions, right? But now we've not only got a weird twisty position, but then we're picking our whole body up on it. So taking the toes and wrapping it around the arm is not only for stability, but it's for hip and knee safety, all right? So coming into your one-legged chair. Hey. Pick a side, any side. Now drop your elbows and armpits, yeah. Now you can lift your standing heel and put your knee and your shin on, lock your foot around, yay! So your arms weren't perpendicular. That was it. So look at your forearms. Once you set it up, look at your forearms and rock them wherever they need to go. So look at your forearms. Hands are a little close, yeah. There you go. Which you saw because your forearms looked like they were diving in, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There it is, there it is, there it is. Wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Something's not moving.
It's like, nope, not today. Not today. He's like, not today.
That one's always a surprise if it lifts it.
There you go. Yay. Would you like your blanket back? But, okay, so that's the deal. My reaction to that was completely appropriate. Do you need a blanket now? You know, because, which will enable her to realize that, dude, this is part of the practice. And this is kind of, part of why we do things like this. This is our version of skydiving. Right? Yeah, this is our ooh, this is super exciting. Oh, okay, yeah. Right, exactly. And so, you know, once you can get to the point where that's enjoyable, right? Smacking your face is enjoyable. All right, so the next one is grasshopper. See which hip wants to do this, right? All right. Yeah, let's do this right hip one. We'll see. We'll see. So much pressure. There's video, right? All right, so we'll do right today. So I like one of the prep poses that I teach is this twisted one-legged chair, right? Because ultimately I'm going to come down to this one-legged toe balance. I am trying to stand on my tricep. I'm going to come over. Once I feel my foot can connect, then I have got this foot. If you saw, this foot was standing so that all my weight was going down through this perpendicular forearm. Because these bones, these two little radiuses, and on the, ooh, pull that out, right? Can hold your whole body weight. They are so strong, especially when they're stacked up and down like that. That cylinder, have you ever seen how you can stab a straw through a potato? Have you seen that? Essentially, that's what it is. It is so, because it's so aligned in with the way that the bone is made. It's just, you could stab a potato with your forearm. Yoga Alliance is going to have so much fun going through these tutorial videos. See how this woman runs her teacher training? Good Lord. So once you feel it, stand on it. There you go.
Get the first part first.
Love that she said that. Got to get the first part first. When I'm teaching these in class, I am telling people there are steps to these poses. You have to get one-legged chair before you can get one-legged chair twist. You have to get one-legged chair twist before you can get one-legged twisted toe balance, right? And so forth and so on, right? Also tell people don't wear lotion before class.
It's a little sweaty.
Okay, and would you like some towels?
Sure.
So that's another thing. I'm glad that you said that. You're saying all the right stuff. So teaching arm balances in a hot yoga class. Everybody's sweaty, right? So have them have hand towels ready. I personally know if I'm going to one of those hot yoga classes that I'm to bring a towel anyway. But if you don't, try to have those for your students. And just realize that, some people's skin is more moist than others. Like, I'm pretty dry. My skin, I just stick to myself.
I'm like,
Right.
always sweating.
Right. And so that means that she's releasing a lot of sebum from her glands or her oils, right? And, natural body oil lets you slide right on out of it. Yeah. Now feel the foot. Yep, that's it. All right, massage that wrist. All right, so that was those arm balances. What am I missing? Seems like I'm missing something. And a lot of arm balances.
One-legged crow.
One-legged crow. All right.
Yeah. I know it's
She had to say it, didn't she? All right. So one-legged crow is like crow, but with one leg, right? All right. It's been a minute since I've done this one too. So one-legged crow, actually, one-legged crow is a really good way to teach people to start jumping back from crow. And so what I teach people in the beginning is I teach you to, so say I'm teaching you to jump back from crow. I'll tell you to just step back, right? Right? So that's what you want to ultimately teach. However, if you're trying to teach the one-legged crow, when you get the knee over, it's a lot easier when you're not fatigued. You stretch the other leg out. The difference is that unlike the flying pigeon, is that you don't have 2 points of contact. How you can learn to do that is just start by picking one knee up off the tricep at a time. Yep, so try that. Just thought of one. Huh?
TT Basana.
Oh yeah, TT Basana. Okay.
Yeah. They're all
I know, it's so many of them. Yep. Just try to pick up one knee at a time. So push the floor away with the hand that you're trying to pick the knee up. Yeah? Yeah. So think more about push the floor away and turn to one side. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
It was happening.
Yeah. And then a lot of it is about just trusting to go. I'm a little tight for coming from crow to TT Basana. I can probably come from TT Basana to crow today. And that's about it. All right, so we're going into TT Basana or a firefly. I teach straddle for this. Patsarita is really nice in any form, right? So, couple ways that you want to get into this. I like coming from backpack. So you'll come over into forward fold. And a really nice stretch here is to let those shoulders come in and start to straighten those legs a little bit. But once I get down, I try to come down. And then once again, just like we did earlier, I'm trying to sit on my upper arms. And once I find that, I'm going to find perpendicular and then straighten those legs out. And so, once again, it's Susan Summer's Thigh Master, everything's pulling in. So try putting the backpack on. Legs wide, and walk your upper body between your legs, and try to pull your legs over your shoulders like a backpack. There you go. Actually grab your leg with your hand, and tuck yourself under. There you go. Then walk your hands back. There you go. Walk your hands back behind your feet. Yeah, you want that feeling of I'm about to sit down on your arms, and rock back a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Rock back just a little bit. Bend your elbows. There you go. There you go. Push the floor away. There you go. There you go. There you go. Straighten those legs out. There you go. Yep. Very good. And that one, I like that one because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to fall on your butt. Right? So, That was really hard to do. Let's see, coming from Tittibasana to crow. Let's see how this works today. So get my backpack on. Come into Tittibasana. Twist one leg back, twist one leg back. Sloppy crow, sloppy crow. But that is the idea, is that you still lean to one side. I should have been able to bring my shin up, but sometimes we can teach and not do on that day. So that was Tittibasana. Also from Tittibasana is the aspect, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it right now, of where we come from Tittibasana and cross our legs. This is a Ashtanga move. So we come in and we cross our ankles. This one might be a nice one for you to try. And then you can also come to head, keeping your legs lifted, and then coming back up. All right? Yes. Try that one. See how you like that one, to cross the ankles in front of you. You need to get your elbows bending is what's happening. Is your arms are so straight that your butt's just sliding over the edge. Yeah, bend those elbows. You can do it. Pull your feet in, pull your head down. Now bend your elbows back. Yeah. Push your elbows back, push your forearms back. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Wonderful. There's the other one. I don't have my beads on right now. Where you're coming from the lotus. Let's see if I can get both my arms through here. Oh, yay, look at that. And you're supposed to come in prayer and stuff. This one is a rock into. Oh, dive her down. But you get the message, right? All right, so we got that one. Eight angle pose. Okay, yeah. So next we were going to go to dangling earring and 8-angle pose, which comes into, we can start wrapping these together. You can teach people to do these things like earring on blocks. Where are the strong ones, the firm ones? Yeah, that one. All right, so if you are teaching people to do arm balances on blocks and stuff, try to make sure that they're using firm blocks. These cushy blocks will compress their wrists. It's like trying to do yoga on one of them Pilates mats, right? All right, so, which this is a great prep coming right into earring, because earring is a backpack again, right? So I'm going to teach both with the block and without the block. So the blocks will come in so that they're alongside the thigh, right? I've got my backpack on. I'm going to straighten my leg and lift, or straighten my arms and lift, right? Nothing too fancy, right? And without, I am holding on with this leg that's over my arm, right? But it's just a little bit of a grip. So you can try with blocks or without blocks. Lalasana.
Outfit.
So whichever leg likes you the most. Yep, nice. There you go. Spread your toes. There you go. Yay! Awesome.
Yay!
All right, so 8-angle pose. So I have a very colorful way of describing how to do this pose. Just because there's an aspect that you need to do. All right, so 8-angle pose. Let's see, we'll come into it from seated and then we'll come into it from earring. So you're going to, once again, get your backpack on. You're going to take the other leg over your backpack. I'm going to turn to you now, right? So you've got this up as high as you can because it's going to slide anyway. And then I'm going to project through my feet and squeeze this leg like it's a stripper pole. So go ahead and take the legs out. So what I'm doing is I'm clamping this left arm as tight as I can as I extend through the feet. That makes all of this one unit. So how do you move between the two, right? So you come to dangling earring, you lift, you move. You can also bring this leg under and then come into your echo. Okay? Yes. Your turn.
See what my skills are.
It's been a minute. I've been working so hard. I haven't practiced arm balances in a minute, so I'm really feeling very scared about myself. Squeeze that arm, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Project through the feet and squeeze. There you go, there you go, there you go. Project through that lifted leg. Yeah, there you go. Face away from that, yes. Woo. So where was your, let me see.
Okay, got my backpack on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, now straighten the legs and squeeze that arm. So what's happening is you're lifting your butt before you straighten the legs.
Okay.
So the legs are still kind of working independently of themselves at that point. Cross the ankles first, don't lift up first. Cross. Now, start to push the feet, cross the legs, extend through the feet, cross the legs, squeeze that arm. There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. Yes. Wonderful. Hey, you're getting your butt up. That's a huge thing, right? Lolasana.
Save the best for last.
I know, we should have done Lolasana a long time ago. I teach Lolasana on blocks. I'll do Lolasana for you for a brief moment. So Lolasana is basically, I come from, and it's a really nice undo for a camel. Because you gotta think about it, you gotta come back forward. So Lolasana, hands are down alongside the knees come in, and then the feet lift up. Yep. My feet were up, it's hard to see in that video, right? All right, but with blocks, it's gonna be way more successful for your students. All 10 fingertips are on the blocks. They'll start from straight arms and pull their knees in, and then they can come into straight leg too. This is a thing that we do. I will teach jump throughs on blocks. So you can teach people to start to jump towards Lolasana and land softly, or you can teach them to jump through. Most people can't jump through, so what I teach is a little bird perch. So I'm gonna ask you guys, after you do your one little set of Lolasana, right? To try this. So you're gonna look at the space in between your blocks. You're gonna jump to a cross-leg toe balance, like that. You're gonna move the blocks back behind your center of gravity so your arms are straight. Then you can come into straight legs and sit down, okay? Try that. Lolasana, start on your knees and lift everything off the floor. There you go, yay! Look at that, very good. Okay, so now go to your down dog, hands on blocks. You're gonna look at the space between your blocks and you're gonna jump to a cross-legged toe balance, a little birdie perch. There you go. Now move your blocks back behind your hips, straighten your arms, and stretch your legs out. There you go, yay! That's it, that's it. If you want to teach people who are getting close to jumping through, this is what I'll do, switch with. So people who are close to jumping through can use a blanket for both blocks and without blocks. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna look at that space at the top and try to land their feet. This way the feet, you don't get that. What happens is if your feet do not get through, your legs are straight and you fall flat back on your butt. I've done it a couple times, it's not that big of a deal. Alright? Like all the other things. Do you want to try that?
I'll try it.
So you start way up here. There you go. Do you need a blanket? Here, land on that.
There you go.
Here. Ooh, let me get out of the way. Yay! That's exactly what's supposed to happen. Yeah, no. You need to feel, and actually, when people are at home, one of the things, or if I'm in studio and I'm trying to teach people to strengthen for this, one of the things I'll have you do is let me move over, do slide forwards and back here. So we slide forward, slide back, slide forward, slide back, right? And that'll build all kinds of strength. But that's building strength for your jump throws and feeling that. Any other arm balances? I think we hit every single arm balance. Okay, that is the arm balance session, guys. Thank you very much.